Salutations, Past Cooper Gang. I am Bentley of the future to come with a warning. When you get to that particular point of the mission, whatever you do not press the cross button.
You mean the circle button?
Whatever, same thing.
Not the same thing as a circle or an X.
It's always been the X. And
We're
if
gonna
you're
be
in-
consistent on this.
And if you're in the Japanese region, don't press the cross button if you want to accept.
But the...
It means reject. Also, yeah, unfortunately, Bentley and Murray can't follow us into this Cooper vault, which was kind of we could have seen that one coming. Cooper, how you doing in there, old friend?
Could be dark in there.
Wise words. I'm not giving you 3D glasses though. That would make it worse. Actually.
Yeah, no
Have
kidding.
you tried wearing 3D glasses in the dark? Is the worst thing to wear. Anyway, welcome.
Did you bring a light?
Ancestors sure knew how to decorate.
No.
Nothing but big
No.
Welcome to the Cooper Vault.
Yep.
So let me go
This
through
place was
the.
started by Slighton Common II.
Oh, slightly common.
Admittedly, I do like this idea for like a grand finale if the series was only kept as a trilogy. This is pretty
See-
interesting.
Oh, I love this. Seeing a full accumulation of all of his heritage up to this point, which has been built up since the first game. So, if you would permit me a small little history lesson. So, technically, love this fairly. So technically, and we'll see this more in the fourth game. Technically, the Cooper lineage did not start with Slighton Common. It actually started with a prehistoric dude named Bob.
Well, they named him Bob.
Because there's always
They
got to
named
be
him
a,
Bob.
there's always got to be a Bob in the line.
And the whole thing of Bob was he was actually the first Cooper to ever create the eponymous cane itself.
But in this
Then-
case, it was a big old club.
Then the cane thing got passed down through generation after generation, and then Slighton Common the First was the guy who actually created the Thievius Raccoonus to start actually cataloging all of the thieving skills. And as Sly started this whole place off with, it was Slighton Common the Second, the Pharaoh's son, who thought, we should make a vault.
Yeah,
And then
Son,
we just had.
Son,
Go ahead.
that sounds stupid. I'm on. I'm on it.
sounds
and
crazy
then-
enough just to work.
And then we just passed Sir Gareth Cooper from England.
This year is.
This is Salim Al Kupar.
Wow, he was a lot buffer than I thought he'd be.
Oh
He's
yeah,
a muscular fellow.
You know, for all I know, that artwork could have been forged.
Yeah, considering how he
It could
actually
be
looks in the
him
game.
after many, many years of servitude to the Cooper clan.
Yeah, this is his perfected. Salim Al Kupar's perfected the art of climbing, like we did back in Canada with the climbing cobra. Apparently, according to this little wiki, he owned a magic flying carpet because, of course, and he loved to eat.
What did
As
he?
it was-
More about that in the fourth game.
He just ate a lot, Iki.
What's a
let's
lot?
see. Sir Galeth was the one who perfected the wall hook technique with his spear.
The strongest of the Cooper clan.
Nice
This
stash.
burly fellow.
Actually,
Slim
wait,
Yo,
is-
ho, ho.
is that stash?
Yep, it's Salim Cooper.
I mean,
from
technically,
good old
if you're
Scotland.
considering that he's a raccoon, they're all stash.
He was the
All stash all the time.
Plus,
was the
we're
strongest
already
of the
in
Coopers.
a stash.
Jeez. He was the strongest of the Coopers, and he was the one who created the wall edge move.
You know what? I gotta ask, if history is consistent, if Sully, that guy is like such a big burly guy, I can only imagine what his Murray would be.
Oh gosh.
A very well
It's just a
endowed-
brick wall.
I guess-
It is
no,
just
no.
a brick wall he carries with him. And he slams on his foes and makes named Murray.
Yeah.
Apparently the other
No one will ever stand on love brick wall.
Whereas his version of Bentley is literally just a decapitated turtle shell as a
I
shield.
mean, and he's just crazy and he talks to it, expecting advice. Also, apparently Slayman Cooper was also so strong he could pick any lock by smashing it with a single hit.
Because of course he could.
Also,
Then,
apologies
of course,
for
we
like
got
any.
good old Ryuichi.
The Ninja
Oh.
Spire landing was perfected in feudal Japan.
Of course, we gotta get the old Ninja Spire jump in there.
Apologies if I
saying?
sound a little bit off right now. I'm stupidly tired.
It's okay. How much sleep did you get last night?
7 hours.
Ouch.
That's not
But I feel
too
like my
terrible.
puppy kept me up all night. I can't tell.
I say,
Honestly,
out.
Iki, I share similar sentiments because last night was kind of shitty for me considering my fan recently broke. And I usually have to keep that thing going just so you know the kind of thing
It's
where
white noise, yeah. You
exactly
need a
it helps me sleep. And without that, I hear nothing but silence and then everything else, like the dogs and just walking all around the hallway. And I'm just thinking to myself, I may as well wake up and tell them to stop. I just want to get my sleep. Ow!
Oops.
Have you tried?
Admittedly,
actually,
admittedly, I'm happy that I'm not the only one that experiences that. Like, sometimes whenever I hear like a white noise machine, like say if I were in an office building, I just fall asleep.
I can see that.
I'm not that bad per se, but I can sort of understand where you're coming from.
Well, I don't mean to say I'm like narcoleptic or anything. It's just that the constant droning sound.
Yeah, don't worry about that hole. It's not big enough. And James, I would say in that case, maybe did you try looking up a YouTube video of like they make videos of just fan noise?
Oh God.
Huh.
And you could just have that play and simulate the sound.
Or you know,
Wait,
you can look up a video of like rain dropping.
Well, I was about to say I don't want to waste my iPad's battery power throughout the night.
Then keep it
What about your
charged.
computer?
Well, even then, it's like the most elaborate nightlight.
Fair.
Turn it upside down.
Besides, I already got a new fan anyway, so I'm good.
Okay.
And actually, yeah, now you think about it, Hype, you're right. In that other take we did, that never happened. In that other take, you're right. I think Henriette is the only.
Like I said, don't press the cross button.
I think Henriette was the only big female lead Cooper we've seen in the game. Period.
And yet we don't even see her in the next game.
Yeah, I was about to say, I will admit that is kind of a missed opportunity. I would have been really interested to see her in action.
For pirate stuff, yeah.
Like honestly,
Winslow Cooper the Third.
God, look at that jawline. It almost looks completely detached from his actual face.
He was the master of disguise, not the movie.
I want to be the master of disguise.
You know, to this day, I've still not seen that movie for myself.
Excuse me, am I not turtly enough for the Turtle Club?
Yes.
You know, I'm not gonna lie. I personally consider that film like somewhat of a guilty pleasure.
Well, you and Seeley both. That's fair. And then I also just now imagine just to call back to one other joke we keep doing is also yes, gentlemanly.
Very gentlemanly.
Very
Smashing.
gentlemanly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Ow! I was gonna say, if someone says, "I'm sorry, but you are not allowed into the Turtle Club," and Bentley's just, "Am I a joke to you?"
You make me sick!
And here's Otto von Cooper, who did not use a cane. Instead, he threw a plane at people.
What's the auto stand for?
Wait, does he really throw the plane at people?
I don't know. I just imagine like an old. Oh, I should have jumped long ago.
I mean, you ever hear of the term throwing the book at him?
I guess.
Throw the biplane at him. There you go.
I jumped too early.
I was about to say that there's kind of a stark difference between throwing a book and a devil-damn plane.
Wait, you don't take things literally either?
I just imagine like an old-timey video showing and here's the great archived footage of Otto Van Cooper
tossing a plane with
dropping a train on him.
Wow.
Right, Otto.
I wish I was that guy.
Oh, okay, we should actually get to this. This is finally the big moment.
I just realized that challenge was
right
related
here.
to the biplane propellers.
It's dear old dad.
T-pose.
Connor Cooper.
And I love how...
Yeah, go ahead.
I was about to say, I love how they basically just recycled that one bit of concept art from the first game, but they have a very convenient tear at the top so you don't see Connor's head.
No. But here's a neat... But yeah, he never got a chance to write this in the Thievius Raccoonus because of his untimely death at the Fiendish Five's hands, but he perfected the laser slide.
You
So
know,
could slide on
Actually use
boiling
security
hot
laser
lasers.
beams.
considering that Sly Cooper can literally defy the laws of gravity just by literally pushing himself off if he's about to fall off a pit.
Or in some cases, he could slow down time altogether.
Oh,
Well, to be
I'll
fair,
be
he,
right-
inher- he inherited that from one of his other family members.
Oh, a little story moment coming up ahead, but I'll be right back.
I do have a question, though. After you beat this level, once you get past the credits, can you actually use the laser rail slide thing?
I don't think he can because there's no other lasers like that in the rest of the game.
Well, that's kind of lame.
I'd be, now that you mention that, I'm kind of shocked. you'd think that after the game's over, there'd be like a few challenges unlocked that actually utilize laser rails.
Can you even do it in the next game?
There are no.
Not that I recall. No. I mean,
What's the
granted,
point of introducing it over here?
well, in all fairness, though, Iki, as Hype was just about to allude to, technically there wasn't much in the way of laser security in Sly 4.
Fair enough. And you know what? Really, it's really no different than riding on any rail. In
Also, can I just say it's weird that they're having this heart-to-heart moment when they're like yards away from each other?
Bentley, there's a snake behind you.
Snake, he was never one of my mains.
They must have forced the door after we opened the lock.
Think of it this way, Bentley. If it were you in that vault and Sly and I were out here, what would he do?
Stop these thugs
Right.
and protect his friend.
Honestly, I was
For
thinking
the friendship.
I was honestly gonna say something witty, but then I realized, nah, this is actually one of the more heartfelt moments in the game, so I'll keep my mouth shut.
They're doing it for the friendship.
And the friendship and of course, well, a grand old slobber knocker.
The Murray's gonna murderize them all.
In the name of friendship, I will bash their skulls in.
And shit down their necks.
I will make them feel what you felt in your leg. Okay, you don't need to go that far, Murray.
Actually, just going back to that, it's like Murray says the thing that Icky says, and then Bentley chimes in with, "I don't think we like him that much."
You don't?
What, like a rite of passage for these people?
I don't know.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I want to say this is the last major enemy gauntlet in the game. I mean, considering how far in the game they already are.
Yeah, because right after this, we go straight to the boss. Oh, by the way, a glitch that Logan pointed out to us is that when you're picking up these guys right as they do that little sonar screech, they'll still continuously do the screech even while you're holding them over your head.
That's interesting. You think that would serve any sort of practical purposes?
I think enemies can still get hit by the lasers, because, you know, all enemies can technically do friendly fire.
Oh, if only I had
That
the
is
power
true.
to actually aim that laser myself.
Oop.
Oh no.
And yeah, here's Dr. M.
That's right.
What a prick.
I'm like a
And
truck with its brakes cut.
I was about to say, I know he brought it up last time because, you know, Logan already said it. We might as well not be around the bush. This is technically our second time recording this. His helmet, I think, is supposed to be modeled off of, like, the end of a plug-in, you know, where you have, like, the two prongs. Maybe a third one, depending on what one it is.
But to me, it
However,
looks more like a toaster.
I was about to say, I can understand how you would think it looks like a toaster.
Because that was my joke.
I thought
was
Johnson
starting to
was
feel hungry.
That's right, Benji.
Try to eat
Before
this,
we
dear
get through
boy.
this,
Do-
can I at least have a piece of toast?
Try to
I
eat
don't
this
mind
helmet.
if it's burnt or anything.
But there's more to it than that.
Well, actually, like, I make that joke now, we're having, like, a little battle of minds where apparently, like, Dr. M's trying to play that card of, like, you know, we're both the same, you and I. We work for people that are basically idiots compared to us. Well, yes, but we respect each other. That's a load of bull.
It's why
Friendship doesn't hold a stronghold like I do.
And I was actually just, hey, I had a friend who was a bull once.
Did he?
did?
I don't recall any major bull characters.
I'm just saying that. I don't think. Come to think of it, I think the only major bulls we've ever seen in this franchise was in freaking.
Sean Bassan?
No, well, he's not
He's
a
more
bull.
so a bison than a bull, but they're still.
Hence John Bisson.
Yeah. Honestly, I think the only outright, like, bulls or bull vines I could think of are some of the fodder in the Western level in Sly 4.
There's that. I want to say that. No, never mind. I was about to say in in John Bisson's level, but no, those were mooses, not
So,
The Mises.
quick thing I want to point out. We have to use these turrets to clear off these enemies so that they won't get in our way while we place the statue, this thing on top of Dr. M here. Why don't we use that turret to shoot Dr. M?
Because the toaster will block the blast, I guess.
or throughout his inane sciencey practices, he's gained the ability to be impervious to bullets.
Well, my
First off-
biggest question is, like,
What's up?
the Murray is quite obviously physically stronger than Dr. M, both in size and stature.
Well,
But
it looks like
why
that Dr.
is he only
looks like
barely
Dr.
holding
M's
him off?
Yeah, I was about to say. I think Dr. M is strong enough. It's just strong enough to like kind of restrain him in this little tug of war.
Is he strong enough in like the primal sense? Would you think? Because he is a mandrill.
Possibly. Oh boy. I would assume so. Like, are mandrills like naturally strong?
Heck if I knew. I'm not a zoologist.
I mean, honestly, it's funny thinking about it, because the only other mandrill I can think of that's, like, pretty fucking huge is
Spark
Mandrill. Yeah, Spark Mandrill from Mega Man X. But he was a robot, so that hardly counts.
We don't like the robotic types for cheating the system.
And yeah, it's actually pretty neat though. Neat that even after you've had some use out of the grapple cam once you need it again, and well, it didn't get blown up in the process. You can use it again right where you left off.
Yep.
Which is always good. Like even after you lose, even after you fade and go back to a checkpoint, it'll still be there and handy little thing.
I still gotta wonder, like, how does the gunfire not affect Dr. M? Like, if you tried firing the turret at him.
But
Beats out of me. At that rate, I just say that's just pure gameplay to story segregation.
Or is it because Murray's in the way?
oh,
There's that too. Like for all we know, you could accidentally misfire
Okay,
at Murray.
okay, we need to pay attention right here because he mentioned he placed a tracker on Sly's cane, and basically he's gonna go after Sly. And before anyone wonders, wait, how can he go through that, Cooperized gauntlet? He said that he's basically using the data that the tracker's getting off Kane, and basically he's gonna study all of the movements and motions that Sly went throughout it, and use that data to traverse through the inner sanctum himself. So yeah, he's round Sly's tail.
I could expect him to get there in, like, a couple of hours, but to get there, like, instantaneously seems a little cheap to me.
Well, I guess it depends on how much more inept at platforming he is compared to Sly.
Well, there's also the matter that once you actually see Dr. Rem at this particular point, you see that he sort of cheated the system.
He's probably
he took
just
a
a
few
stupid
shortcuts.
kind of smart.
Overwhelming. Amazing. How'd Thaddeus make a flying
Wait a
machine
minute.
in the 1800s?
Yep.
You
that's
see
a flying
the Sly
machine.
Cooper insignia door, right?
Yeah.
It kind of looks like an eyeball.
Dr. M.
It's probably just the shading.
Do you think it's the point, though?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
So yeah,
Cooper
here's
Illuminati.
our final boss, Dr. Rem and his amazing flying machine.
Admittedly, the scale of this final boss kind of fails in comparison compared to Clockwork and Quackla.
I will say though, to this game's credit, the final boss fight actually feels like a proper, test of your own ability. Slobberknocker, but I also say it's a proper test of your own abilities, because with Clockwork and Clockla, you had to fight them literally in a flying machine.
And occasionally just
completely
smack them
different
on the
from
back
what
of their heads.
Yeah.
Basically, then you basically had to tell them down throughout the entire thing.
Although
I'm starting to feel a little concerned. Logan's been gone a rather good while.
unless he's testing us. But yeah, just as a heads
He
up.
better not be,
Testing
because I'm starting to get a little sick of that.
Well, anyway, just as a heads up, one thing that you definitely do have to be careful when it comes to Dr. M here is that his machine, the things he spews out, it'll actually switch between rounds. So sometimes he'll spew electricity and sometimes he'll spew fire. And you have to keep like right there he spews electricity. And whenever you see those orbs, they basically kind of like track you down. And yeah, you also have to keep an eye out. Like sometimes when he does, that charge attack he does, now he'll leave like trails of electricity or fire behind him.
Wow, he sent you flying.
Oh yeah, this guy definitely, like, we weren't joking when we talked about how competent this final boss is. He packs quite a bit of a punch.
Literally.
Which I guess makes up for the fact this guy barely been in this game at all.
That's a good point. Like, after the entire game, we still barely know anything about this dude. Other than
we
he
know
worked with
that,
Sly
yeah.
Cooper's dad and kind of screwed him over, I guess. But aside from that, like, what else is there?
Not much, really. Like, the entire point of this game was just to round up a whole bunch of people to help us out on this whole escapade, and yet not a single point in this game beyond the intro do you ever see him again up until now.
Are we sure this is an actual video game or just an animal retelling of Blues Brothers?
Care to elaborate on how that's the case?
They're putting the band back together.
Well, they kind of already did that with the first mission.
But they did it again. Now, like, threefold.
Again. And again.
And with people that they never even met.
Well, they met 2 of them.
I mean, they had connections.
That's very true.
They knew the Panda King, they knew Murray, they knew,
Dimitri.
Yeah, they knew Dimitri. Penelope, they met on online chat.
And the Guru was...
And everybody knows
sorta-
everyone on the internet.
Yeah. And, then the Guru is based... Well, he was just... had ties with Murray, so that's kind of the only reason why we know him.
Yeah, they only know
they
him
did
by
put the band back
association.
together.
In some ways, I guess.
Actually,
Even though they were never part of the band to begin with. Aside
now
from Murray.
now I'm just imagining them being like a literal band, thinking what kind of instruments they would all play.
So like a Chuck E. Cheese Slam Jam Cram band.
You know,
If that's what you want to think of it.
a thought just came to my head. Imagine the Sly Gang is animatronics.
Oh, he actually did this guy already.
I don't know what
Not yet. You notice that there was a small sliver of health before this cutscene happened, so something else is gonna have to happen before we will that thing back down.
Like,
do the same for him.
just smack that stupid helmet off his head. Unless it's like physically drilled into his skull.
I mean, considering there are little screws on it, that might be the case.
He's probably like a Nigel Thornberry take on Mojo Jojo.
Possibly.
Now there's a fusion I never thought possible. Yet here we are.
I can't wait to see his exposed brain by the end of the episode.
That would be something else. I'm not gonna deny that. Now here's something I don't get.
Ta-da!
Like, and meanwhile Sly's like, can anyone just go through this double damn vault now?
Nice to see you, gorgeous.
You too.
So they're on the same side now?
Yeah, because technically, like, even though she has a thing against Sly, Dr. M is still technically a criminal. She's probably gonna apprehend Oh boy.
Oh no!
Ow.
Don't
Got
That
hit
like
by
a
Dr.
fucking champ,
Cortex's
Sly.
laser beam.
Criminal.
And now, this final battle, we pretty much end this entire trilogy not as Sly, but as Carmelita.
And
Is
just
that
like
really
that,
appropriate? Wow, that took no time at all.
Yeah, like
Well, yeah.
it's basically just a means for Carmelita to get the last shot.
Slow.
I guess
And
so.
well,
Where are we?
Yeah, something's wrong with Sly here.
Is it his hat?
Can you remember any?
Might be packed on too tight.
No.
it's literally squeezing his brains out. To the
Or you
point
know
where he
what,
can't even
like,
remember
you ever
anything.
You ever see that episode of Futurama where the professor brings in like this highly intelligent monkey with a hat
My
and sticks him in college?
Constable Goop.
I think
Well, partner,
so.
we'd
It's
better get
kind of
on.
like that,
The ceiling's gonna
except
go. We've got much time.
instead of getting, you know, relatively smart from getting his hat crumpled, Sly just loses all his memories.
And just as quick as lightning, Carmelita literally took advantage of the situation and makes him think that he's her partner, and they
I
fled.
believe that's a.
Well,
I
at
believe
least
that's a
she's not
serious-
Where the hell have you been?
Would you be mad at me if I said pizza?
Oh.
Yes, because you didn't share said pizza,
I know. I've
and
seen
even the
ending. I know
monkey
it-
is angry.
I've seen how it works. The elements all suck, and he had to go down with that ship. I think you guys did fine.
So you were listening this entire time, you son of
No,
a
I
bitch.
was not actually. I was in another room, but I can assume you guys. I believe in you.
Yeah, but
Believe
you
in
believe
us?
the man that completely forgot about the Guru and the Panda King and Dimitri.
Oh God, they're dead.
Yeah, they went down with the island.
Or, you know, Guru escaped as a bush way before the mission started.
It's like, oh, I'm not with these guys.
Just like a bush with legs.
And now its secrets were hidden again.
Yeah,
This
shoot.
time for good.
The vault's dead.
I could only hope that he's
Dead.
when
Vault's
he was
dead,
looking
Can't
Sly
speak today.
lost his brains. It seems like the
We
band's
searched
falling
every
apart
inch
yet
of the
again.
island for Sly,
Oh, we
retrieving
found
the
them.
gang one
Oh.
by
Oh, well, that's
Hello.
relief.
only to make the surprise
But no, they
discovery
actually- you're right,
that
they-
he didn't want to be
What?
found.
Hey,
He'd left a calling card.
Son of a bitch.
Only this
he's
time,
still out
it
there.
was worth millions.
And even better, he's led us to riches.
How
Yo!
strong is that?
Well,
How
let's
strong
roll
is
by,
that
and when
cane?
Sly still hadn't shown up,
I'm now kind of reminded of the end of Atlantis the Lost Empire.
You're right, actually. Yeah.
Like, everybody gets rich, but the main protagonist is carried away by some girl.
and he feels all, and he feels more rich. He feels an enriched experience.
He feels enriched in the heart.
That's hokey.
So let's see what they've been doing after all said and done.
I mean, considering it's Disney, you'd expect it.
Go, Speed Marie, go!
Devil thing.
And here he is on the Murray 4.
The Mach 4.
I can't wait to see how the next game retcons that.
Well, I feel like retcon, and he still does it at the beginning. It's just he just gets fired because he causes too much destruction.
God damn it.
More on that later.
So, Bentley and Penelope finally hooked up, and they created the best vault.
Ooh. A Cooper vault of friendship.
I love that. I love that
Friendship.
new design.
So while this might be the end of our adventures together,
Oh, really?
it could be the start of something even bigger. Time will tell. Literally. Because I'm building a time machine to find out.
Everybody thought,
That's where the inspiration for the fourth game came from.
And it
everyone's
wasn't
like-
even made by the same development team.
And Sucker Punch was like, guys, it was a joke.
Yeah, I was about to
We
say.
didn't
like,
mean for you to make an actual game out of it. What are you doing?
Sorry guys, too late. We're gonna make this a game now.
Sorry, not sorry.
Oh God.
Oh, hello.
Ooh la la.
Dimitri's hooked up with bandicoots.
Yeah,
Nitro
including
Crew.
Coco Bandicoot. What the fuck?
The Nitro Crew.
Yeah, I was about to say, just going back, like, do you think Sucker Punch has ever at any point commented on what they thought about Thieves in Time?
About Samsara? I don't know.
I mean,
Do you think they even had the plans to begin?
Oh, looky.
returned to China and lived a happy life living 2 doors down from his beloved daughter.
Aw.
She, of course, was pleased to have him screen all of her future
Oh,
suitors.
God.
As of yet, she's still unmarried.
I mean,
Imagine.
considering the shit she went through with Colonel
She's
Sanders or
unmarried.
whatever his name was.
Toonami sponsored this a little bit.
Yeah,
Apparently.
I remember they sponsored the first game actually. What was the second game? I can't remember.
Probably the second.
I think they might have sponsored the entire trilogy.
I remember
this
seeing
is-
like PS2 advertisements and contests on them.
Oh yeah, pop culture reference.
Yeah, because this is basically what the Beatles did in real life as well.
Yeah, they were super. Yeah, like John Lennon, they were all super spiritualists.
Oh.
Hence why Hence why somehow he hooked up with Yoko Ono, and then that whole thing happened.
Yoko,
And-
oh no.
And that's all we have to know. That's all we gotta know for now is just where could they still be?
Well, I'm about to find out.
Maybe somewhere in this
Ben-
painting lies a clue to Sly's location.
What a wonderful matte painting, Bentley. You peeping Tom, what the heck are you doing?
I'm playing
Ooh,
Wingman.
wow.
Shut up.
Speaking of which,
Hello.
Aww,
They
he
really
got
do
the
love
way he
each other.
wanted. What?
speaking of,
Or not.
That sneaky devil.
Yeah, he had no amnesia. He just saw the perfect opportunity and took it.
he
And it's like,
completely
that's-
faked it.
It's like, Sly, who are you winking at?
The camera, dear.
The what? And then it cuts the credits. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
To the stars, it's Carmelita, the stars. Oh, and also the circle button.
To the great circle. Of
It's always that dang circle button.
I would love if that's what they call the moon, like that great big circle button in the sky.
You can't even press it, Cooper.
I thought it was a
I can dream,
giant.
damn it.
I thought it was a giant ball of gas.
A big
Sorry.
ball of gas.
So I guess let's go around quickly. So James, what did you think about Slide 3?
Honestly, my opinion on this game hasn't changed an awful lot. Like, I still think it's a fairly solid sequel to Slide 2, even if, though I will also say that, well, again, the latter half of the game has its sections that just feel like a drag more than anything. And, like, I will agree in the fact that, like, beyond, like, maybe the Guru and the Panda King and Dimitri, like, I guess, on that note, I would just say Penelope. But no, there's certain elements that do feel like some of these characters only really, when you add them into the equation, they just feel like repeats of elements that have already been done in previous games. So I don't know, it doesn't feel quite as natural as it could be.
It
Well, I
feels
definitely
cluttered
agree,
at points.
Well, I
That
definitely
too.
agree with. Well, I definitely agree with you in that. Like, Penelope's whole sections were just Bentley's section with a new coat of paint.
That's exactly
Bentley
that's
but
exactly
pink.
what-
Bentley but pink. What else? And then there was there was a lot, but yeah, there's
There was the Panda King.
There's the panicking. Hype, what did you think of Sly 3?
I personally really like Sly 3 a lot. I think at the end of the day, I'm still gonna give it to 2 as being the best in the series. But for me, Sly 3 kind of comes a bit closer than I think other people do, because the gameplay is still perfectly fine. I'm willing to look over a lot of the things that people take umbrage with, like a lot of the extra additional characters and some of the kind of out of nowhere moments and whatnot. One thing I will definitely say in terms of Sly 3 is not against Sly 2. I think Sly 2 has some pretty fun writing and whatnot. I personally think that Sly 3 is kind of where the writing, or at the very least the dialogue, hit its peak, because this game has just so much memorable dialogue and exchanges between characters.
Oh, yeah, I'll definitely agree with that. I mean, who could forget the time when Bentley called Mugshot's mother a whore?
That just, yeah. That's
She's
weird.
a bitch, Mugshot. Your mother's a literal bitch.
I would no. You can't just go deadpan on that.
That's just with that, and I honestly feel like problems with the story notwithstanding, like how people still hate the idea of him and the Panda King, making up and whatnot. I honestly think that between the two of them, I kind of think Sly 3's story feels a little bit more dynamic than 2's, in a sense of I feel like it's kind of hard for me to put into words, but I feel like that there's a lot more going on than there is in Sly 2.
I guess in some regard there is, though. I still have a bit of an issue with the fact that, maybe it's not that big of an issue, but I guess there's just the matter that with this game, there wasn't exactly an actual concrete villain, or group of villains at the very least. It all just feels kind of episodic in a way.
All the villains feel a lot less connected in this case.
Right.
They're just some dudes causing trouble, and we happen to get away.
In order to maintain consistency with the timeline, we don't have a paradox. I'm gonna have to end off with my own thoughts, and Nikki will give his thoughts in the next video. You'll understand.
Okay.
You'll understand when you're older, chat.
Aww.
So, as a conclusion, I was totally okay with this. I love the idea. I love the idea of kind of a la the beginning. You always see those spy movies where it's like, oh, there's no way out of this business, except that's when people either in the big movies, that's when people fake their death or whatever to try and get out of the bad, the heavy mob scene or whatever. So I like that parallel in that Sly found this as a way out into an easier life, just to live the more he had done everything. As far as he was concerned, he had saved his entire ancestry's wealth and all that they had stood for, and so he was ready to back out and live the calmer life he wanted with Carmelita. I was totally okay with that. I thought it was a really cool nod to see how throughout this whole thing, suddenly Bentley kind of became the more main character by the end of it all.
Interesting in a way. In fact, now that I think about it, one thing I will also say that I find kind of interesting, we all remember back in Sly 2 when Bentley had his little time in the spotlight for Prague.
Yeah.
And
never forgetty.
Yeah, never forgetty that stuff. But otherwise, there's that, and then he has the ending narration here, which is appropriate. Never does Murray get that kind of love.
That is true.
Yeah, I'm hoping
he never gets his own little montage or whatever of this kind, and it's kind of a shame. Not even the fourth game, for what I remember.
Nope. But
let's say in sometime in the future we get a spin-off, starring Murray during his time in between Sly 2 and 3.
Murray Racer?
No, Murray Guru.
Murray spiritual adventure thing.
Murray Spirit Tracks.
I can just imagine he can barely fit in that Double Aim train.
He managed to convert the band into a choo-choo train.
Go ahead.
One last thing I'll say before we end off. Again, I'm not gonna say that this game's outright bad. If given the chance, I'll probably play it again on my own terms. If they ever decide to make another PS something port. But otherwise, as far as the entire trilogy is concerned, this is sort of the weakest link for me, just because, I understand that that's a better game than, say, Sly 1, but I think I had a little more fonder memories of that game than this one, so that's pretty much where I stand on the whole thing.
That's fine, but yes.
And of course, Sly 2 is still the best of the bunch.
Sly 2 had a nice slow burn, but yeah, with that said, whoever at Sony, again, with Crash Bandicoot getting the Insane Edition, we got now even Medieval and stuff. If they ever want to do any, and we technically got that Ratchet and Clank reboot. If they ever want to do something with Sly and Jack, you know, like, come on, those were like the Jack, Sly, and Ratchet were like the main titans of like the freaking
PS2 era
mascot platformers.
I mean, honestly, give it a few more years, and it'll be their time to start getting the reignited treatment.
And
you
I
hear
would
us,
love that.
Sony? You're a bunch of losers. Start doing the cool shit again, or we won't buy you.
Make State of Plays actually worth our time. More on that later if you watch Kid Icarus. But as far as what we've done here, we have one more little bonus part because there is still some cute little extras this game has. But as far as the main story of this goes, that concludes our time with the Thievius Raccoon in the PlayStation 2 era. Join us for when we will inevitably. I'm going to probably repeat this exact same outro in the next of the bonus parts, but join us for when we take things further into the next time.
Oh no.
You
Time after
fools,
time.
You've already caused a paradox.
What the hell's a gigawatt?
I was gonna say that.